There may be dire news on new home sales in America. The Fed may be tuning up for another announcement that could have a negative impact on the economy. But there is one slice of financial news that truly shakes what we know of American life to its very core. Plenty more. Slap on the leathers. Get to work with the veteran economist, professor of business at the University of Maryland, national columnist you can read at Newsmax.com, Peter Morici. Peter, this is the earth-shattering moment. Well, maybe not if you think about it. Harley Davidson sales are down 4% last quarter, and what they're basically saying is Harley Davidson missed the boat. They're only good for old white guys anymore, and that image just isn't cutting it anymore.
Well, I think there's something to that. You know, every year my wife and I go get ribs at a restaurant that's about 35, 40 miles from here in the exurbs, and it's a biker bar. It's sort of place where the women sign their brassieres and hang them behind the bar. And, you know, what do I see there? White guys with big bikes. The reality is America is changing. There will be a majority nation, and they haven't really sold those toys effectively to young people. The other thing is they've got just an aging biker problem.
The other thing is, too, and I can tell you this from somebody, I've been riding motorcycles since I was 10 years old. My dad started me. He used to have a Harley. It really just looks as if the bikes aren't that unique anymore. They all come from the factory. They've got all the same parts on them, basically. And not only that, but when you have your own cafe and you have a line of clothing like they have, it just doesn't become tough guy anymore. It's the weekend warriors that get you.
Well, when a 58-year-old orthopedist with hair too long for his age is riding around on a Harley, it doesn't work anymore. You're absolutely right. Unfortunately, Harleys have become civilized. And, you know, the good old days when we had Indian bikes with that special throb, we had 6, 7 different brands. It's kind of like what bikers have today, the road bikers, the pedal type. You know, we have all kinds of different bikes, and we take pride in the individual brand we have. They can't do that with Harleys. All
right, let's go ahead and get to some other financial news, if you will. I could sit and talk Harleys all day. U.S. new home sales are near a one-year low. They've dropped 11.5% to a seasonally adjusted annual rate, 468,000 units. Big deal, yes or no?
Not yet. Only 1 month of data doesn't mean a lot. In June, they were 468. Then they jumped for a couple of months, and they're back down again. Monthly data jumps all over the place. It's like corporate profits right now. No surprise, corporate profits are down because we earn half of our money abroad now, if you're in the top 80% of companies, and the dollar's strong, so it reduces your revenues. No, it's not that big a deal yet.
All right, let's look at something else. Wall Street Journal this morning, headline, U.S. companies warn of slowing economy. Big firms to post first decline in both earnings and sales since the recession. But as I read into it, it talks about that overshadows a lot of growth, for instance, in aerospace and technology. Again, to you, same question, big deal or not?
Well, it is a big deal that American manufacturers are struggling with a strong dollar. But I don't know any economists that are predicting a recession. There was a similar article in the Washington Post over the weekend that said economists are worried a recession is about to happen. Well, golly, I guess that writer didn't bother to look at the forecast of the 70 or 80 economists that make up the consensus, including yours truly. The economy will deliver slower growth numbers for the third quarter, which is just completed, because of a large inventory adjustment and somewhat the impact of the dollar. But consumers are spending. It's not just technology. Look at the record sales that we're getting, or the improved sales, excuse me, at Starbucks and Walmart and Kellogg and so forth. Consumer companies are doing really well for a reason. Consumers are out there and they are spending again.
Do your homework, kids. 30 seconds. Op-ed in Bloomberg today saying Hillary Clinton is inevitable. I have a feeling this touched a slight hot button for you this morning.
Absolutely. If they nominate Trump on the Republican side, it is inevitable. But the one guy that can spoil her is Ben Carson. And frankly, I went to a Clinton rally this last Friday. It was maybe 10 blocks from my house. And to listen to her, goodness, it's right out of the 70s. A sane, rational nominee would make a lot of sense. But gee whiz, it can't be somebody who reminds women of their first husband, like Jeb Bush.
A sane, rational nominee. I'm going to write that one down because I want to see if that hits me anytime in the next 30 years. Reminder, don't forget to read Peter Morici at Newsmax.com. We'll talk to him here as well. Thanks so much, Peter. See you next week. Let loose the political animal next for everything not about the Donald when the Hardline continues.